Hi Joseph, how are you? Hope you're okay. I'm going to read you some stories. Is that alright? We've got Slinky Malinky. Slinky Malinky was blacker than black, a stalking and lurking adventurous cat. He had bright yellow eyes and a warbling wail and a kink at the end of his very long tail. He was cheeky and cheerful, friendly and fun. He'd chase after leaves and he'd roll in the sun. But at night he was wicked and fiendish and sly. Through moonlight and shadow he'd prowl and he'd pry. He crept along fences, he leapt over walls, he poked into corners, he sneaked into halls. What was he up to? At night, to be brief, Slinky Malinky turned into a thief. All over town, from basket and bowl, he pilfered and pillaged, he snitched and he stole slippers and sausages, biscuits, balloons, brushes and bandages, pencils and spoons. He pulled them, he dragged them, he heaved them until he'd carried them home to his house on the hill. One rascally night between midnight and 4, Slinky Malinky stole more than before. Some pegs and a teddy bear dressed up in lace, a gardening glove from McCafferty's place, a tatty old sneaker, a smelly old sock, and Jennifer Turkington's pottery smock. A squishy banana, some glue and a pen, a cushion from Oliver Tulliver's den. A clock and some bottles, a pair of blue jeans, a half-knitted jersey, a packet of beans. He pulled them, he dragged them, he heaved them until he carried them home to his house on the hill. Then Slinky Malinky, rapscallion cat, piled them up high in a heap on the mat. The glue toppled over, he gummed up the pegs, the jersey unravelled and tangled his legs. He tripped on the bottles and slipped on the sock. He tipped over sideways and set off the clock. Crash went the bottles, beep beep went the clock. Row, 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 row went the dogs on the block. On went the lights, bang went the door, and out came the family. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, they all said. What a criminal cat. Tomorrow we'll have to take everything back. With a tangled up middle and glue on his face, Slinky Malinky was deep in disgrace. Can you see him? He's not very happy, is he? Never again did he answer the call when moon shadows danced over garden and wall. When whispers of wickedness stirred in his head, he adjusted his whiskers and stayed home instead. That's a nice book. Shall we have another one, Joseph? What shall we read now? We could have Elephant and the Bad Baby or Mog's Christmas. Which one shall we have? Shall we have Mog's Christmas? Let's run this way. Right. It's about another cat, isn't it? One day, Mog woke up and nothing was right in her house. Everybody was busy. Debbie was busy. Nicky was busy. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas were busy. And there were too many people in the house. There was a jolly uncle and 2 aunts on tippy toes. Mog thought, I don't like it here. She went and sat outside on the windowsill. There was nothing to do and no one to play with. So after a while, she went back to sleep. Suddenly, she woke up. She saw something. It was a tree. It was a tree walking. Mog thought, Trees don't walk. Trees should stay in one place. Once trees start walking about, anything might happen. She ran up the side of the house in case the tree should come and get her. Come down, shouted the tree. Come down, Mog. First it walks, thought Mog, and now it's shouting at me. I do not like that tree at all. And she ran right up to the roof. The tree went on shouting for a while. Then it went into the house. Mog stayed on the roof. Some white things fell out of the sky. Some fell on the roof, and some fell on Mog. They were very cold. I think it's snowing, Joseph. You think it's snowing? At supper time, Mog was still on the roof. She must have her supper, said Debbie. Mog always has her supper. Mrs. Thomas gave Mog her supper, but still Mog did not come down. In the morning, Mog did not come down either. She had found a nice tall place and she was asleep. She was having a lovely dream. Mog dreamed that she was sitting on a cloud. Some white things were falling out of the sky. Mog tried to catch them. She was very happy, but suddenly the cloud began to melt. Inside the house, everyone was sad because Mog would not come down. They were too sad to eat their breakfast. Even the jolly uncle was sad, and one of the aunts cried. Oh. Suddenly there was a noise. It was a noise in the chimney, and then something came down it. It came right down the chimney and fell into the fireplace with a thump. It's Father Christmas, cried out one of the aunts. No, dear, said the other aunt. Father Christmas does not have a tail. Debbie cried, It's Mog. Mog had to have a bath. But then everything was lovely. The whole house was lovely. The tree had stopped walking about and had made itself all pretty, and Mog had 3 boiled eggs and some turkey and a present to unwrap. Happy Christmas, Mog, said Debbie. That's a nice one, isn't it? Joseph, where's Mummy? Boo! Where's Mummy gone? Where am I? Boo! Where's Mummy? Where's Mummy? Where have I gone? Boo! Where's Mummy? Where's Mummy gone? Can you see me? Can you see me? Boo! Shall we have another story? What should we have? How about another book about another cat? 6 Dinner Sid. Another black cat like Slinky Malinky. Are you ready? I don't know if you can see it, can you? Move around a bit. Oh, look, this book's got your name in it, Joseph. It says, Joseph Evans. It's your book. It was at Grandma's house. Yeah. Sid lived at number 1 Aristotle Street. He also lived at number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 and number 6. Sid lived in 6 houses so that he could have 6 dinners. Each night he would slip out of number 1, where he might have had chicken, into number 2 for fish, on to number 3 for lamb, mince at number 4, fish again at number 5, rounding off at number 6 with beef and kidney stew. Since no one talked to their neighbours in Aristotle Street, no one knew what Sid was up to. They each believed the cat they fed was theirs and theirs alone. But Sid had to work hard for his dinners. It wasn't easy being 6 people's pets. He had 6 different names to remember and 6 different ways to behave. When he was being Scaramouche, Sid put on swanky airs. As Bob, he had a job. He was naughty as Satan and silly as Sally. As Sooty, he smooched. But as Schwartz, he had to act rough and tough. All this work sometimes wore Sid out. But he didn't care as long as he had his 6 dinners. Can you see Slinky Malinky there? He's doing a really big yawn. Can you see his mouth? Oh, big yawn. He liked being scratched in 6 different places and sleeping in 6 different beds. In fact, life in Aristotle Street was just about perfect for Sid until one cold, damp day he caught a nasty cough. The next thing he knew, it was being taken to the vet. Poor Sid. He was taken not once, not twice, but 6 times in 6 different ways. The vet said Sid's cough was nearly as nasty as it sounded, but to be on the safe side, he should have a spoonful of medicine. Of course, Sid didn't have just 1 spoonful of medicine. He had 6. Now, one black cat does look much like another, but nobody, not even a busy vet, could see the same cat 6 times without becoming suspicious. Sure enough, when he checked in his appointment book, the vet found 6 cats with a cough, all living in Aristotle Street, so he rang the owners at once. And oh dear, Sid was found out. When they discovered what he had been up to, Sid's owners were furious. They said he had no business eating so many dinners. They said in future they would make sure he had only 1 dinner a day. But Sid was a 6 dinner a day cat, so he went to live at number 1 Pythagoras Place. He also went to live at numbers 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Unlike Aristotle Street, the people who lived in Pythagoras Place talked to their neighbours, so right from the start, everyone knew about Sid's 6 dinners. And because everyone knew, nobody minded. Can you see them? They're all happy. That's a great story, isn't it? I have another story you like, Joseph. Dr. Seuss's A, B, C. We used to read this a lot when you were a little boy. Do you remember? Dr. Seuss's ABC. Are you ready? Big A, little A. What begins with A? Aunt Annie's alligator. A, A. Big B, little B. What begins with B? Barber, baby, bubbles, and a bumblebee. Big C, little C. What begins with C? Camel on the ceiling. C, C, C. Big D, little D. David Donald do dreamed a dozen donuts and a duck dog too. A, B, C, D, E, F, E. Ear, egg, elephant. E, E, E. Big F, little F. F, F, F. 4 fluffy feathers on a fiffer, feffer, feff. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Goat, girl, goo goo goggles. G, G, G. Big H, little H. Hungry horse, hay. Hen in a hat. Hooray! Hooray! Big I, little I. Ichabod's itchy. So am I. Big J for Joseph. Can you see the big J? J. Little J. What begins with J? Jerry Jordan's jelly jar and jam and Joseph begin that way. Big K, little K, kitten kangaroo, kick a kettle kite and a king's ka-choo! Big L, little L, little Lola lop, left leg, lazy lion, licks a lollipop. Big M, little M, many mumbling mice are making midnight music in the moonlight, mighty nice. Big N, little N, what begins with those? 9 new neckties and a nightshirt and a beep nose. Where's your nose? Where's Joseph's nose? Beep beep. Yeah. O is very useful. You can use it when you say, Oscar's only ostrich oiled an orange owl today. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Painting pink pyjamas, policeman in a pail, Peter Pepper's puppy, and now Papa's in the pail. Big Q, little Qua, what begins with Q? The quick queen of Quincy and her quacking quackaroo. Big R, little R, Rosie Robin Ross. Rosie's going riding on her red rhinoceros. Big S, little S, silly Sammy Slick. Sipped 6 sodas and got sick. T, 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 what begins with T? 10 tired turtles on a tuttle tree. Big U, little what begins with U? Uncle Ub's umbrella and his underwear too. Big V, little V, Vera Violet Vin is very, very, very awful on her violin. Oh dear. W, Willie Waterloo washes Warren Wiggins, who is washing Waldo Woo. X is very useful if your name is Nixie Knox. It also comes in handy spelling axe and extra fox. Big Y, little Y, a yawning yellow yak. Young Yolanda Jorgensen is yelling on his back. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. That's Z. Big Z, little Z. What begins with Z? I do. I am as as you can plainly see. Do you remember that story, Joseph? We used to read it all the time when you were a little boy. Now, shall we have another cat book? What about Mog, the forgetful cat? Once there was a cat called Mog. She lived with a family called Thomas. Mog was nice but not very clever. She didn't understand a lot of things. A lot of other things she forgot. She was a very forgetful cat. Sometimes she ate her supper, then she forgot she'd eaten it. Sometimes she thought of something in the middle of washing her leg, then she forgot to wash the rest of it. Once she forgot that cats can't fly. But most of all, she forgot her cat flap. The cat flap led from the kitchen to the garden. Mog could go out and in again. It was her very own little door. The garden always made Mog very excited. She smelled all the smells, she chased the birds, fluffed up tail. Then she forgot the cat flap. She forgot she had a cat flap. She wanted to go back into the house, but she couldn't remember how. Afterwards, you could always tell where she was sat. This made Mr. Thomas very sad. He said, "Bother that cat," but Debbie said, "She's nice." Once Mog had a very bad day. Even the start of the day was bad. Mog was still asleep. Then Nicky picked her up. He hugged her and said, "Nice kitty." Mog said nothing, but she was not happy. Then it was breakfast time. Mog forgot that cats have milk for breakfast. She forgot that cats only have eggs as a treat. She ate an egg for her breakfast. Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Debbie said, "Nicky doesn't like eggs anyway." Mog looked through her cat flap. It was raining in the garden. Mog thought, perhaps the sun is shining in the street. When the milkman came, she ran out. The milkman shut the door. The sun was not shining in the street after all. It was raining. A big dog came down the street. Mog ran. The dog ran too. Mog ran right around the house and the dog ran after her. She climbed over the fence, she ran through the garden and jumped up outside the kitchen window. She meowed a big meow, very sudden and very loud. Meow! Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Debbie said, "It wasn't her fault." Mog was very sleepy. She found a nice, warm, soft place and went to sleep. She had a lovely dream. Mog dreamed that she had wings. She could fly everywhere. She could fly faster than the birds, even quite big birds. Suddenly she woke up. Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." Debbie said, "I think you look nicer without a hat." Debbie gave Mog her supper and Mog ate it all up. Then Debbie and Nicky went to bed. Mog had a rest too, but Mr. Thomas wanted to see the fight. Mr. Thomas said, "Bother that cat." "She's sitting on top of the television, Joseph." Mog thought, "Nobody likes me." Then she thought, "Debbie likes me." Debbie's door was open. Debbie's bed was warm. Debbie's hair was soft like kitten fur. Mog forgot that Debbie was not a kitten. Debbie had a dream. It was a bad dream. It was a dream about a tiger. The tiger wanted to eat Debbie. It was licking her hair. Where's Joseph's hair? You touch your hair? Yeah, hair. Debbie shouted. Mog jumped. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas said, "Bother, bother, bother that cat." Debbie said nothing. She was still crying because of the bad dream. Mog ran out of the room and right through the house and out of her cat flap. She was very sad. The garden was dark. The house was dark too. Mog sat in the dark and thought dark thoughts. She thought, "Nobody likes me. They've all gone to bed. There's no one to let me in. And they haven't given me my supper." Then she noticed something. The house was not quite dark. There was a little light moving about. She looked through the window and saw a man in the kitchen. Mog thought, "Perhaps that man will let me in. Perhaps he will give me my supper." She meowed her biggest meow, very sudden and very loud. Meow! The man was surprised. He dropped his bag. It made a big noise and everyone in the house woke up. Mr. Thomas ran down to the kitchen and shouted, "A burglar!" Mrs. Thomas telephoned the police. Debbie let Mog in and Nicky hugged her. A policeman came and they told him what had happened. The policeman looked at Mog. He said, "What a remarkable cat. I've seen watch dogs but never a watch cat. This will get a medal." Debbie said, "I think she'd rather have an egg." Mog had a medal. She also had an egg every day for breakfast. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas told all their friends about her. They said Mog is really remarkable, and they never, or almost never, said bother that cat.